Night doesn't lie, your day does. Why is it that everything feels louder at night? Not the world, but you, your thoughts, that ache in your chest. The questions you shoved aside all day come back with a vengeance, don't they? And here's the thing, that version of you at 2 a.m., that's not broken, that's honest. The day lies. It distracts you with deadlines, noise, scrolling, smiling, performances. But night doesn't care about your mask. It turns off the lights, and suddenly there's nowhere to hide. You feel like you're falling apart, but maybe you're finally just telling the truth. The philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer once wrote that life is a constant oscillation between pain and boredom. Harsh? Yeah. But when you're lying awake in the dark, staring at the ceiling, doesn't that hit a little too close? It's not that the night is cruel, it's that it stops pretending. You're not distracted, so you actually feel. That sadness you think is irrational? Maybe it's the most rational part of your day. Maybe the problem isn't night. Maybe it's that your daylight self is full of noise and numbing, and deep down, you know it. Here's the twist. Maybe the sadness isn't the enemy. Maybe it's a signal. A quiet rebellion against the life you've been pretending is fine. So don't be so quick to silence it. It might be the only part of you still trying to speak the truth. Because if night strips away illusion, then maybe, just maybe, the darkness isn't something to fear. It's something to face. And in the next part, we're going even deeper. Because the real question is, what are you hiding from? Why success can't silence the void. You did everything right, didn't you? You checked the boxes, hit the goals, got the praise. Maybe you've got the job, the apartment, the body, the followers. Whatever version of making it you were sold. But here's the kicker. When the room goes quiet, when the lights go off, the void is still there, isn't it? No one wants to talk about this. Success is supposed to fix you. It's supposed to make you feel enough. But what if the version of success you were chasing was never designed to fulfill you, just to keep you chasing? Look at the lives of celebrities who spiral after reaching the top. Robin Williams once said, "I used to think the worst thing in life was to end up alone. It's not. The worst thing in life is to end up with people who make you feel alone. That's not failure talking. That's someone who won the game and still felt empty." See, the void doesn't care about your resume or your highlight reel. It waits. And it whispers when the applause fades. That existential dread you feel late at night? It's not weakness. It's a sign that something deeper is starving. Meaning. Connection. Truth. You can't silence that with another raise or a better car. You can only face it by asking why you needed those things to feel worthy in the first place. So yeah, you can win. But if the ladder's leaning on the wrong wall, where exactly are you climbing? Let's keep going, because next, we'll look at why the climb itself might be the lie. From ancient myths to modern nights, there's nothing new about staring into the dark and feeling like the universe is staring back. You think your 3 a.m. spiral is just a modern problem? Too much coffee, too many screens. Nah, this is ancient. The Greeks knew it. The tragedians painted it in blood and silence. In Oresteia, Orestes is haunted by the Furies, not just monsters, but living echoes of guilt and fate. Night was where truth caught up, where the masks slipped and the cost of human action came due. Fast forward a couple thousand years, same terror, different language. Albert Camus called it the absurd, The moment you realize the universe doesn't owe you meaning, and yet you crave it anyway, that dissonance, that ache, that's the absurd condition. And you don't need to read The Myth of Sisyphus to feel it. Just lie awake one more night, scrolling past curated lives, wondering why yours still feels like it's missing something. You're not alone. You're just awake in a world that teaches you to sleep through your soul's questions. Insomnia today isn't just a medical condition, it's a metaphor for disconnection, for overstimulation, for the spiritual noise we pump into our lives to avoid the silence we actually need. Silence isn't empty, it's confrontational. In it, all the distractions fall away. And what's left? You. Raw, unfiltered, no roles, no scripts. Just a human soul in a spinning universe asking, what now? Solitude, too, has changed. We're more connected than ever. But when was the last time you sat with your own thoughts, really sat, and didn't flinch? The night exposes that. It always has. From mythic epics to modern neurosis, the same pattern repeats. When the noise fades, the truth gets loud. And in that silence, in that space between ancient dread and digital distraction, a question emerges, not just, why am I here? But who is this I that's even asking? Camus and the Desert of the Real. Picture this. You're lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, and suddenly it hits you. None of this makes sense. The jobs, the routines, the rituals. We do them every day, but why? And in that moment, when the world is dead quiet and there's nowhere left to hide, you feel it. The absurd. Albert Camus gave this feeling a name. He called it the divorce between our hunger for meaning and the cold, blank silence of the universe. Night just turns up the volume on that silence. Camus didn't sugarcoat it. In The Myth of Sisyphus, he imagines a man condemned by the gods to push a boulder up a hill for eternity, only for it to roll back down every time he reaches the top. That's life, he says. That's us. We grind, we hustle, we climb, and the rock still rolls. The absurd isn't just about despair. It's about recognizing the truth, that life has no built-in meaning, and yet we keep showing up anyway. Here's the twist. Camus doesn't say give up. He says rebel, live anyway. Embrace the absurd and keep pushing your damn rock, but do it with your eyes wide open. That's what makes Sisyphus an absurd hero, not because he escapes the meaningless task, but because he chooses to face it without illusion. At night, this becomes real. When the world shuts up and there's no noise to distract you, the absurd stands in the doorway and stares. And instead of running, Camus would tell you, stare back, smile, even, not because it's easy, but because it's yours, your life, your boulder, your silent universe to defy. So if the night feels like a desert, good. That's where the real questions live. And now, let's ask the biggest one. How do you live fully, knowing the meaning isn't coming to save you? The illusion of daytime purpose. Daytime is a master illusionist. It hands you a to-do list, a calendar, a role to play, and suddenly you've got purpose. You answer emails, smile for the camera, get likes, make small talk. And it feels like meaning. But here's the thing. A lot of it's just noise. Well-dressed distraction. Because the moment it all stops, the moment you're alone with your thoughts at night, that scaffolding starts to crack. Think about it. You spend your day being productive, but what did you actually move toward? Did you get closer to something real, or just keep the wheels spinning? Camus called this kind of life mechanical, and he was right. You wake, work, rest, repeat without asking why, and society applauds you for it. You're responsible. You're doing well. But beneath that applause, there's a quiet question tapping on the glass. Does any of this actually matter to you? At night, there's no audience. No one's watching. The job title, the compliments, the followers. They all go silent. And without that external feedback loop, the meaning starts to feel thin, manufactured. Like it only exists if someone else believes in it. That's why so many people dread the stillness, because they've built a life around reaction, not reflection. And reflection asks harder questions, the kind that don't come with gold stars or bonus checks. So yeah, the day props you up. But night tests you. It asks, is what you're doing yours, or just what you've been told to do? And if that question stings a little, good. That means there's something real underneath. So let's go deeper. Let's look at how people cope when the illusion starts to break. Don't escape. Confront the abyss. Let's be honest. Most people don't face the night. They escape it. They reach for the phone, the drink, the binge, the scroll. Anything to avoid that tightening in the chest, that creeping silence, that feeling like something's missing. But here's the hard truth. The more you run from the void, the deeper it gets. You don't erase it, you feed it. Camus didn't say avoid the absurd. He said confront it, head on, without illusions. He called it revolt, not dramatic rebellion, but a quiet refusal to lie to yourself, to stop pretending you're fine when you're crumbling, to stop building your life around distractions, applause, and surface-level goals that mean nothing when the lights go out. And yeah, that takes guts. Because the void. It's not polite. It asks the questions you've been dodging. It shows you what your coping mechanisms are really covering. But if you face it, if you stop numbing and listen, something incredible can happen. You stop living reactively. You start building something real, something grounded. Something that isn't about being seen, but about being true. So next time the dread creeps in, don't smother it with noise. Sit with it. Let it speak. Ask it what it wants to show you. That discomfort? That's not a flaw. It's the first sign of waking up. Because meaning isn't found in the dark. It's forged there. And in the final part, we'll talk about what that forging looks like. How to build a life that doesn't just look right in the daylight, but feels right in the silence. Turn absurdity into strategy. So here's the pivot point. You've stared into the void, felt the weight of the absurd. Now what? Curl up and accept it? Numb it out with routines? No. Camus didn't stop at awareness. He turned absurdity into strategy. He said, live anyway. Not passively, not with resignation, but with clarity. The world may not come with built-in meaning, but that's not a reason to quit. It's a reason to choose. Think about that. When you stop expecting the world to hand you purpose, you're free to build it. Deliberately, authentically. You don't need to chase what they told you should matter. You get to decide what matters to you. That's the absurd rebel. Not someone who escapes life's emptiness, but someone who acts anyway. Eyes open, heart engaged. You start showing up for what actually feeds your soul. You stop wasting time on fake metrics, status, followers, approval. You create meaning through action, through commitment, through presence. Even in a meaningless universe, your effort becomes sacred, not because it's guaranteed to last, but because you chose it. This isn't about giving up the fight. It's about changing the terms. You stop demanding answers and start asking better questions. You stop reacting and start responding. So if life's absurd, good. That means you're free. Free to move, to love, to build. And maybe that's the most defiant thing you can do in the face of a silent universe. Speak anyway. Act anyway. Live anyway. From night thoughts to day power. The thoughts that haunt you at night, they're not just anxiety, they're data, signals from the deepest part of you trying to cut through the noise. The world tells you to brush them off, go to sleep, get over it. But what if those 2 a.m. spirals are actually clues? What if the discomfort you feel in the dark is showing you exactly what's misaligned in your life? Here's the power move. Stop running from those thoughts and start using them. When you sit with your existential questions instead of numbing out, something shifts. You begin to see what actually matters to you, what you've been tolerating, what's draining you. And from that clarity, you can start making decisions that cut. You stop drifting and start defining. Nighttime existentialism isn't just a mood, it's a mirror. And if you're brave enough to look into it without flinching, you gain a kind of clarity that's almost surgical. You know what to walk away from, what to pour yourself into, what not to compromise anymore. Some of the most powerful choices you'll ever make don't come from a pep talk. They come from staring into the dark and deciding, enough. Enough pretending. Enough performing. It's time to live a life that actually fits. And creativity? It explodes when you clear out the lies. When your choices are rooted in truth, not performance, your voice gets sharper. Your art gets deeper. Your path gets clearer. So don't underestimate those night thoughts. They're not weakness. They're the beginning of freedom. And when the sun rises, you don't just go back to your routine. You rise with it, changed. Don't seek meaning, create it. Everyone tells you to find meaning, like it's hiding under a rock or waiting in a self-help book. But here's the truth. Meaning isn't found. It's made. It's built slowly, deliberately, through the choices you make when no one's watching. And the first bricks get laid at night. That restless feeling, the ache, that's not a sign that something's wrong with you. It's a signal that you're finally awake. Night strips away the roles, the noise, the dopamine hits of distraction. And what's left is you, just you, and the raw, unanswered question, what now? This is where the existential shift happens. You stop looking for meaning out there, in relationships, success, ideology, and start crafting it from the inside out. Not with grand gestures, but with honest ones. You begin asking, what matters to me? What do I want to stand for? What kind of life would actually feel mine? Camus called this the revolt, not against life, but against falsehood, against waiting for the universe to hand you purpose on a plate. When you realize it won't, that's not despair, that's freedom. You get to decide what's worth your time, your love, your effort. That's not less meaningful, it's more. And the night? That's where you sketch the blueprint. That's where the real questions echo loud enough to hear. So stop seeing it as a curse. See it as a construction site. That void you feel isn't empty. It's open. So don't chase meaning like it's a destination. Build it like it's a home. One choice, one truth, one brave decision at a time. And when you do, Your days won't just look different. They'll feel like they're finally yours. When the world sleeps, you wake up. When the world shuts down, when the lights dim, the notifications stop, and everyone else drifts into sleep, that's not your moment to escape. That's your moment to wake up. Not in the physical sense, but in the way that actually matters. Awareness, reflection, choice. The night isn't your enemy. It's not out to torment you with thoughts you shouldn't be thinking. It's your ally, your truth teller, if you're willing to stop numbing out and listen. When the world goes quiet, your real voice finally has space to speak. The one that doesn't care about applause. The one that remembers what you used to love before survival became your whole life. Most people treat night like a glitch in the system. They fill it with distractions to pretend everything's fine. But you don't have to do that. You can use the night. You can mine it for clarity, for courage, for the kind of truth that reshapes your days, not by accident, but by intention. So the next time you find yourself awake while the world sleeps, don't panic. Don't reach for the nearest escape. Sit up. Breathe deep. Let the questions come. That's not insomnia. That's initiation. The night is a doorway. Walk through it and start becoming the person you were meant to be.